Oh man, I really can't tell you how much I love this Kyrie Irving story because again, it just simply exposes the fact that all of these liberal Negroes who get paid millions of dollars and who run their mouth about various so-called causes, it just exposes the fact that what they run their mouths about is what they are allowed to run their mouths about. And Kyrie Irving is a prime example of this. And I'm going to talk about the Phil Knight situation, him saying that Kyrie Irving stepped over the line. But I want to highlight Kyrie Irving's history for a moment, just to show you that he's been a typical pro blackety black who is now learning you can only be anti-white. You can spew racist diatribe about so-called white people, but as Phil Knight says, if you step over the line and go beyond that, then they're going to whip you into submission. And that's what they have done, because Kyrie just posted an apology a couple of days ago that I'm going to read as well. But check out Kyrie's pro blackety black history. Now, Kyrie Irving has been noted for standing against racism. You know, this is an article from 2 years ago highlighting a history of Kyrie Irving's social justice activism, aka SJW. In July 2020, they highlight that he supported the WNBA players, which again is a feminist lesbian league to promote feminism and lesbianism, pretty much, because it isn't a successful business. But he supported WNBA players by pledging $1.5 million through his KAI Empowerment Initiative. He also supported a Breonna Taylor documentary. You know, the criminal chick that, just like St. George Floyd, they like to glorify, telling you to say her name, even though she was helping a criminal enterprise within the community. But again, the mainstream support things like that, and so he received praise for that. He also, in June of 2020, publicly resist the NBA's return to play. You know, in light of the death of St. George Floyd, NBA players were, I guess, supposedly boycott from playing in the league. It was like a few months hiatus. I mean, I don't really keep up with the NBA, but apparently this went down in 2020. And of course, he received praise for that. He also, in 2016, he stood alongside with a Native American tribe, you know, against those supremacist colonizers, no doubt, over the Dakota Access oil pipeline. So again, he has this history, and also he paid for George Floyd's family, St. George Floyd's family, to have a house, and he's supported other instances with Ahmaud Arbery. But sharing this documentary was a step too far. In fact, he just stepped off the plantation. The plantation says, well, you can talk all the shit you want about white people, but if you veer off into other territories, then whoosh, we're going to whoop that ass back in line. And here's Phil Knight, the owner or co-founder of Nike, stating this in a CNBC interview when they were asked about Kyrie's relationship with Nike. Phil Knight stated, quote, "Kyrie stepped over the line. It's kind of that simple. He made some statements that we just can't abide by. And that's why we ended the relationship. And I was fine with that." And now Kyrie Irving has made an Instagram post where he apologizes. like a good boy. He stated, while doing research on WHWH, I guess that's initials for the documentary Hebrews to Negroes, I think it's called. Anyway, he says, I posted a documentary that contained some false anti-Semitic statements, narratives, and language that were untrue and offensive to the Jewish race religion. And I take full accountability and responsibility for my actions. I am grateful to have a big platform to share knowledge, and I want to move forward by having an open dialogue to learn more and grow from this. To all Jewish families and communities that are hurt and affected from my posts, I am deeply sorry to have caused you pain, and I apologize. I initially reacted out of emotion to being unjustly labeled anti-Semitic, instead of focusing on the healing process of my Jewish brothers and sisters that were hurt from the hateful remarks made in the documentary. I want to clarify any confusion on where I stand fighting against anti-Semitism by apologizing for posting the documentary without context and a factual explanation outlining the specific beliefs in the documentary I agreed with and disagreed with. I had no intentions to disrespect any Jewish cultural history regarding the Holocaust or perpetuating any hate. I am learning from this unfortunate event and hope we can find understanding between us all. And I'm no different than any other human being. I am a seeker of truth and knowledge, and I know who I am. Oh, you'll never get this kind of apology when it's something promoting what they deem anti-white or what is anti-white. I mean, just think about that documentary. Everything is going to be all white that Showtime released. There was no such apology demanded because the people who are running these industries don't identify themselves as being so-called white people. But in addition to this, you even have the Reverend Al Sharpton, this paid Negro activist, fake preacher, who's been around for years spouting a bunch of white people this, white people that. Well, this is what he had to say about Kyrie Irving. People should denounce bigotry no matter what, and that applies to Kyrie too. He says just because African Americans have been subject to racism and mistreatment historically, it doesn't mean it's okay to normalize hatred of another group. And again, that's what Al Sharpton is paid to do all of the time. But again, this is a prime example, that showcases who truly is in charge and who is allowed to have shit talked about him. But, I've been seeing reactions from certain pro-blackity blacks, especially on YouTube. And no surprise, they're still too stupid to get it. Because, again, they're still spouting, oh, white supremacy, white supremacy. Oh, boy. It's no supremacy coming from people who are in charge that don't identify themselves as so-called white. But I guess when you're a simpleton Negro and you have no other classifications to go based off of outside of color-coded classifications, then you're just going to keep regurgitating the same retarded trash and still be too stupid to realize being anti-white means nothing to these people. If anything, you're potentially just pissing off your other neighbors, potential allies, who basically get thrown under the bus through this white description. But anyway, Phil Knight has spoken. So that Instagram apology, clearly that wasn't enough. He's going to have to do them 6 steps. Hell, they may expand it to 10. And I'm looking forward to seeing it, quite frankly.